What is up, everybody? Coming to you live from my parents' house. We got episode 11, 11, of the Changavi show here. Not the Changavi show, the Changavi Aftershow, the show that nobody talks about because nobody watches. So this is great. No, I'm just joking. For those of you that are new, this is the show that we don't talk a lot about. We don't talk a lot about serious stuff. We kind of just sit here and vibe late at night. I record this from my bedroom floor, so that should give you all the inclination of what you need to know as to what the show is all about. Um, that being said, though, I think today I kind of wanted to take the Changavi after show in a little new direction. Not new direction, but maybe be a little bit more serious than maybe I've been used to in the past year. So bear with me. We'll get to all the fun stuff a little later. But I definitely do want to start with something a little serious, and it's probably not what you're expecting. Let's talk a little bit about mental health. Um, Now, listen, mental health is kind of one of the only categories that I really stay away from, if I think about it, really. I talk about all sorts of stuff in relation to everything, uh, sports, pop culture, music. That's what this show is, like we just talk about everything. But mental health is definitely the one that I have avoided, so to speak, in terms of all of the things that I would have wanted to talk about. And I figured that I would kind of use this topic as sort of a challenge for myself to talk about mental health in relation to your host, your boy, the legend, the man who this show is named after, me, Anuj. But Anuj, why are we talking about mental health, dude? We're supposed to have fun on the show. Okay, I promise, we'll be serious for a bit and then we'll have fun, okay? I promise. But I kind of wanted to do this for a second. I don't like talking about my mental health, in terms of like me as an individual, because I feel like oftentimes I end up being a burden on people. And I don't want other people to think I'm some soft person. And so I don't tend to share a lot about my mental health. I know that's like a very uh, kind of toxically masculine point of view to have, particularly in society. But I think it's something that a lot of other guys, if I may speak on behalf of other men, really do have. Uh, I still think that there are these, like, we like to say that as a society we've moved forward and that we have, really created this safe environment for everybody to speak their truth and speak their mental health and all of these things, speak about their mental health in an open forum and all of these things. But in reality, like a lot of us don't have that. And a lot of us don't like to talk about our mental health for a variety of reasons. I mean, for me, I could say one of the reasons I don't like to talk about my mental health is because I have tried in the past, in maybe some roundabout ways, to reach out or to even directly speak about my mental health, and I've been shut down. And it's kind of been received more negatively than I would have liked. And maybe not as positive of a reception as I may have liked. And so I haven't really talked about my mental health publicly, let alone publicly. This scares the shit out of me doing this right now. But like privately, let alone publicly. But I want to take upon myself a challenge and sort of talk about my personal relationship and with mental health in the hopes that maybe a couple people can relate to some of the stuff that I've felt over the years, and also maybe you know help me get over a hurdle when people actually see me talk about it on the show. So listen, damn, I've never told anybody this. Fuck. Damn, this is a lot harder. You practice this shit in the mirror and you're like, "Oh, I got this." But when it comes to actually executing, it's a whole separate issue, man. Damn. Okay. All right. I'm ready. So, anxiety. Anxiety is something I've always struggled with throughout my life. I am highly, highly anxious person. And that's not necessarily like the best combination to have as a creator, as someone who like you need patience to like live in this industry. I'm someone who like needs results, who needs things, who needs to move forward. Like I'm a very, and that's why I asked that question on Thursday. For those of you that were paying attention to the question tonight, I asked like, am I? Do you assume me to be a free spirit, or do you assume me to be like a structured person? And everybody said I'm a free spirit, but like in reality, like I need structure, and I am a very structured person. And I structure my days accordingly so that I can sort of have a plan because a lot of this stuff, like I feel like throughout my life, I've been constantly just teetering between like wanting and yearning for that structure, while at the same time, I've also just, I'm a very free person and I don't want to have a fucking boss or work in an office or be the normal. It's always been like, ugh, like I no, I don't want to do that. That's just me. So, but at the same time, I crave the structure that normalcy provides. So I'm a fucking walking enigma. But back to the mental health stuff. I've struggled with anxiety since as far as I can remember. I've always just been someone who is scared, so to speak, as to the next step, the future, the 2 years from now. What is this action going to do 5 days from now? And like, I'm always someone who overthinks things, and that doesn't help. It's great when you're, really trying to cover every base in a debate or in a podcast where you're trying to research a particular issue, but it's not great in life. And honestly, like the thing is with my anxiety is it hasn't been like bedriddling. Like I still consider myself to be like a very like high functioning person, someone who's very out there, someone who can still kind of operate within the course of situations. Socially, I still think I do have some awkwardness, but I work on it. I try. But anxiety wise, I think my in high school, a lot of my anxiety was definitely sort of festered within the academic lens of things. And so, like during big tests, I would get panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and they would kind of be like one off things. Like they would happen to me once or twice a year. And it was sort of like, I could feel it. Like the first time it happened, like I didn't know what hit me. And like it got, like I went to the office and like the principal called my parents and all that. But like as time went on, I learned kind of how to control it and how to sort of deal with it. But it wouldn't even happen that often, so it didn't matter to me, right? It was like high school. It was, tests. Like in the grand scheme of things, like 5 years from now, like as I sit here on the floor, like I don't care. Like that was something like I personally, obviously it was okay, but like at the time I really did give a shit about. But also there were like two a year. Like it was nothing, Like I was like, okay, if this is it's 2 bad days within the course of 365, like I can handle it. And then I got to college. And don't get me wrong, like I had a fantastic time in college. Like I met so many cool people, but I also had bad anxiety. My my anxiety was bad in college, and I think what it was I got there and I very quickly realized that I don't want to do what I said I wanted to do. Obviously, like I've talked about this publicly, like I went to college to study screenwriting, like that was the plan, that was the dream, and then it didn't happen. But eventually I started exploring other options, and I got I was just fearful of the future. It just became like my academic anxiety kind of festered into my career anxiety. And that sort of took place. But it wasn't anything crazy. Like there was no anxiety attacks, nothing like that. What it was my anxiety was finally, and what it was it finally started to become more regular, and that's what scared me. That's what scared the shit out of me because and my anxiety attacks only used to happen, like during tests, high pressure moments, whatever, like 2 times a year. Okay, cool. Well, we can move on. But suddenly they're happening right as I went to bed. So I would go to bed and I would just have it would feel like my stomach was like filled with butterflies and I couldn't go to sleep and my heart would start beating really fast and I would like clutch onto my pillow and I thought I was going to die. And it felt like that every night for like a month straight. I didn't sleep. There was like it was really hard to sleep. It was really hard to do anything. It was just rough. It was hard. And I didn't know, like, honestly, it wasn't that bad. Like, I think I like or sorry, it wasn't what am I saying? God. It was bad, but honestly, like I didn't know what was triggering it. I was like, I thought I was in a pretty good place relationship wise with like friends of mine in school. There wasn't any like girl trouble. There was everything seemed to be going okay. And then like and these attacks just started happening and happening and happening. Like but they would only happen at night. So and they would happen for like 15 minutes, right? And I go to sleep. And then the next morning I'd wake up and it would be fine. I'd go about my day, live my life, and it would be cool. And it was just a rinse repeat cycle. And then things got really scary because like in February, like right God, this is probably like 3 weeks before we got sent home for COVID. There was like a straight week where I felt like I was going to pass out every single minute of the day. I thought I was going to pass. Like I would walk and like I just felt like there would be moments where like I felt myself like beginning to start breathing harder and it felt like I was just going to fall on the ground. Like I was like, "Oh shit, I'm about to pass out. I'm about to pass out." And it was like anxiety attacks and they were happening and they were happening and then they would disappear and they wouldn't come back. And then, it was more of that same shit. And it would happen really regularly. But then, I was in college, all of these things, blah, blah, blah. And then we got sent home like COVID, COVID happened. And the anxiety kind of went away for a bit. I think it might have been the fact, and I thought initially I attributed it to um, the fact that maybe I was smoking a little too much of that green stuff, that's legal here in California that I can't say on YouTube because I will get reported. But I was smoking maybe a little bit too much of that. And so I went home. I didn't smoke at all. I didn't smoke for like a year. But the thing is, like the anxiety attacks stopped, right? Like the passing out, all of that stuff, like stopped when I got home. And I think it was probably also due to the shock of the situation as well that we were in. But what was crazy about all of it was the anxiety kind of found itself in a new lens. And I wouldn't have attacks, but I also just couldn't sleep. Like it was just like I would get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night tops. And it was just constantly interrupted. Like I wouldn't be able to think. Like I just about my whole mind felt like it was in a daze. And like I of course attribute that to like the pandemic and like obviously being isolated and all that stuff. But like all that was just like a crazy experience to kind of see like my anxiety go through all these different stages. They went from like periodical attacks to like nightly things to like feeling like I was going to pass out for like a month straight to like not being able to sleep to then it just completely disappearing after a certain point. And I don't know what happened, but the last week, and this is why this topic came up, is the last week I started to feel like last couple weeks I started to feel like that anxiety come back. But it hasn't been like, I've been sleeping well and all that, and it's not like anything crazy, but it's the anxiety is still there. And you're like Anuj, like why? You have a podcast, you got into college, you're working. What is the problem? And I think the problem is that I am very, very scared about the decision I have to, or about college and about what is going on with that decision. Because, quite frankly, I I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I want to go to college. I'm starting to have those thoughts come back again for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know where I mean, I know what it is, I know where it's coming from, but I'm starting to have those like feelings of like, do I want to go? Like, do I want to finish my degree? Why am I doing this? What is this for? Will I ever make it as a fucking internet creator? Like, what? There's just so many thoughts, and the anxiety of those thoughts is fucking insane because I feel like everyone around me has like this specific idea as to how we live, right? You go to college, you do your 4 years, then you figure it out. It's your life. But like, I don't know if I want to do those 4 years. I don't know. I don't know if I want. I don't know if I want to finish it. I don't think I think it's gonna be really hard for me to. And I have no idea. And I think I've just been anxiously thinking about having to make a decision in regards to college. I again, like I have no idea what I like. I think I'll go. I'll probably end up going because of circumstances outside my control. But I I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I don't know if it's worth it or not. I don't know. I don't know. And I think the what's scary is that like I feel like every time there's some decision in my life or some change in my life, anxiety comes and it's gotten bad. Every single time it's like manifested itself in some like painful physical manifestation in my life, right? There used to be periodical attacks in high school. Then it was like I could barely sleep. Or then it was like, like they would eat me alive for 15 minutes like before I go to bed in college. Then it would be like I'm gonna pass out. Then it would be like I'm not gonna sleep. Then, and then I've seen anxiety manifest itself in burnout for me, which is like my worst anxiety of all time. Burning out is sucks. It's the worst. Um, yeah, no, I don't want to do that again. But I've seen it happen, and I'm sorry this is so raw. Like I didn't really prepare anything. I feel like a lot of people when they talk about mental health, they have these really eloquent statements planned. But I just wanted to like kind of talk straight from my head and straight from my heart, and tell you guys like what's up because I feel like that's more me. This is more after show, right? Like this is Changavi shows for the professional, notes and all of the transitions and all that crap. But like this is just like me and you talking and me sitting on my floor telling you about my struggles with mental health. And that's the first time I've ever really shared that type of stuff with anybody. So I mean, if you made it this far, like shout out to you. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It's a lot to think about, to be honest. I don't know. I know I'm a high anxiety person, but I figured out ways to control it, which is cool. And I'm gonna keep working towards it. I know mental health is a crazy journey, but I went through all that stuff, and I didn't really vocalize it. I didn't really talk about it with anybody. No one, not even like very close friends, family, anybody. Um, but I thought I'd put it all out there now. 18 minutes. 18 minutes. I thought I'd put it out there. Uh, yeah, guys. And this is the truth is like it's okay to not be okay. Because I'm not. A lot of the times I'm not. I mean, no, I wouldn't say a lot of the times. I'd say like there's like 5% of the time I'm not okay. I'd say like 95% of the time I'm who I am on the show. But I thought, it's better to be honest, it's better to be real. Um and yeah, that's who I am. That's me. Hence the title on YouTube, The Real Me. And I'm sorry for ranting. I apologize that this topic took 20 minutes. It's definitely a lot longer than I expected, but that's all. That's all I really wanted to talk about in regards to mental health. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my anxiety and all that, and I hope I hope it helped. If it didn't help, then you can feel free to just pretend like this never happened. But but yeah, thank you for listening. And that does not go unnoticed for me, at least. So I appreciate it. But you know what, dude? This is the thing, bro. Is like mental health is over. Or the mental health topic in the section of the show is over. And it's time to have fun because that's what I do on this show. I don't make this show to like feel bad. And of course, mental health is super important to talk about, and I wanted to do that. But I want to fucking have fun too. So I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers, dude. Aaron motherfucking Rodgers. This dude is so. I love Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers is like the fucking Kim Kardashian of the NFL. This dude is the ultimate, just provides the ultimate drama. But the thing is, like, he's always going to be relevant because of the fact that he's just so good on the field. And I can't take anything away from his athletic accomplishments. He's fucking good. He won another MVP. He threw, what did he throw? Like 45 touchdowns? He threw some crazy amount of touchdowns. He played ridiculously well this year, even though my Niners beat him. Oh, wrong way. Go Niners. Um, you know, Aaron Rodgers is so freaking interesting. And I think he's interesting for sports fans because a lot of us like want to love the guy. He's a great player. He's such a talent. He's beautiful. He's amazing to watch on the field. Just the effortlessness with what he plays football. He's just so good. He's so freaking good at what he does. And you want to root for that. Every sports fan wants to root for great athleticism, and Aaron Rodgers has been the exemplary athlete in that regard on the field for years. But off the field, this is where people have issues. Off the field, this man has been kind of a little bit of a, dare I say, diva during the offseason. There's always some drama with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Not only that, I mean, this year I think he lost a lot of fans with his vaccination and the way that he went about that. And then the stuff with he's kind of all over the place, man. Aaron Rodgers off the field is very all over the place. I think he's a misunderstood man in some aspects, but in other aspects, like this dude he's also ridiculous. Like, uh, listen, I'm not here to tell you to agree with him or not. That is your prerogative. If you want to agree with Aaron Rodgers, go ahead. You can agree with him and be like, yeah, I'm anti, vaccination, and things that he's saying are very true. That we need to look out for health and all of the various things that he cited on that Pat McAfee interview, where he talked about that his whole vaccination crisis, or not crisis, but vaccination status. Or you could be on the other end of things and be like, dude, fuck this guy. Who the fuck does he think he is talking about vaccination? He's just some privileged ass white male who looks like he hasn't showered in 3 days. Fuck that guy. I kind of stand somewhere in the middle. DBH. I like Rodgers the athlete. I think Rodgers the athlete, like no matter who you are, you have to respect the fact that this dude can fucking ball. He's played quarterback in this league for far too long for people to come out and be like, he sucks, and then a lot of people are saying that just because of his, off the field takes. I don't necessarily believe that he is a bad, like, I'm not ready to be like Aaron Rodgers is a terrible person, right? You can't judge a person you never met the guy. Um, that being said, like there are a lot of people that have been saying Aaron Rodgers is a terrible. There are a lot of people in Wisconsin who don't really like Aaron Rodgers, from what I've heard at least. But Aaron Rodgers, he's just a mystery, man. He's a mystery. He's got this like whole Berkeley liberal vibe going on, and at the same time, he's friends with Joe Rogan. He seems like such a man of opposites. He claims to want no drama in his life, but yet he's attracted so much drama within his life. He just the various comments that he makes are just they can be appalling at times. He can be They could be, break the internet at times. They can be memes at times. He's so interesting. I think he's such an interesting personality study. I've quite frankly, have we ever seen an athlete like Aaron Rodgers? Have we ever really seen an athlete like people call Aaron Rodgers like the Kevin Durant of the NFL. Kevin Durant ain't nowhere near interesting than Aaron Rodgers here in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is a freaking amazing, like just journalistic study. I mean, I for Green Bay beat reporters that get to cover this man on a daily basis, y'all are the winners. Like this is truly like the perfect person that you want to cover. He's just so interesting. He could provide you with fireworks at any moment. And he claims a lot of things about himself, but in reality, none of those things actually end up being what he is. He's a man of mystery. That's truly what Aaron Rodgers is. Hence the title of this segment, The Curious Case of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what to think of Rodgers. I really don't. I respect his athletic achievements. I disagree with a lot of the decisions that he's made off the field. I don't really like his attitude, quite frankly. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. Aaron Rodgers is a fucking interesting dude. That's all I guess. That's all I gotta say. Um, but that being said, if he came to the Niners, I wouldn't honestly know how to feel. I would of course be I think it would be class A international TV if he came to the Niners. I would just love to see all the coverage and all the fans freak out on Twitter when he would do anything. But I also just do not believe that the Bay Area would accept this man as quarterback based on his political views and some of the stuff that he said in the past. That being said, I don't even think he's leaving Green Bay. But Aaron Rodgers, man, just fucking interesting. Dude, he perplexes me. And for those of you that really don't know who Aaron Rodgers is, look him up. Look him up, watch some interviews, watch some Pat McAfee show. I'm telling you, I really do believe that you will just be fascinated with the way that this man conducts himself. He's so freaking interesting. Dos Equis man tried to be the most interesting man in the world. I think Aaron Rodgers is taking that title right from him. I'm just gonna say. But yeah. Aaron Rodgers, quite the guy. Listen, a lot of people like to talk about gatekeepers. There's gatekeepers everywhere, right? There's gatekeepers in life. There's gatekeepers keeping people from opportunities, all of these things. Let's talk about some of the industries that are gatekept, because there's a fuck ton of industries that are gatekept. And I'm not, I think I'm of the theory that the internet is taking away gatekeepers. I think the internet provides kind of a backdoor entry. This was one of the first things I ever talked about. Episode 1 of the Changavi show, I literally said, the internet is the ultimate backdoor to fame. You could be ugly as shit. You could be a terrible dancer. You could be just absolutely bad at everything. But if you have one funny moment for 3 seconds and you put it up on TikTok and you put it up on Instagram, all of a sudden, people all across the world will give you the clout. And all of a sudden, you have fame. You have fame. I would say that Hollywood used to be a gate-kept industry. But the internet has basically said, nah, we're giving the opportunity back to the people. You think Charlie D'Amelio would be in fucking Los Angeles 30 years ago in the 1980s? In the 1970s when the studio system was the biggest deal in LA? Fuck no. Fuck no. People would be like, Charlie who? Charlie who? D'Amelio who? Who the hell are you? They'd be like, she's some random fucking white girl from Greenwich, Connecticut, or wherever the hell she's from. Hell no, she wouldn't be a thing. But why is she a thing? Why is Charlie D'Amelio a thing? Social media, the internet. The internet and social, and now she's breaking. She basically took the back door, and now she's infiltrating Hollywood and pop culture, and she's like the biggest name because, I mean, let's be real, the consumer base of the internet and the consumer base of Hollywood is getting younger and younger. It ain't getting older, dude. No one wants to see another fucking Clint Eastwood movie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all my dads out there. Clint Eastwood, man. I don't think you're gonna see another Clint Eastwood movie unless his son decides to bring his dad out of retirement. I don't even know if Clint Eastwood's retired. That's probably a good question. But Hollywood isn't gatekept anymore. I used to think so. People say sports, but people say media is gatekept. And this is where I tend to agree with them. I think journalism and media are the two, and the media in general is the most gatekept industry in the entire fucking world. I don't care if you say sports is gatekept. I don't think so. I think if you play well and you work hard and you ball out, you're going to get drafted. It don't matter. It doesn't really matter. You could be really freaking a terrible person. But as long as you haven't done, Ray Lewis murdered someone. The man is in the Hall of Fame. Okay, accusably murdered someone. Okay, that he didn't technically murder her, but it did happen. Um, Bad person and win a lot in the NBA or the NFL, and no one's gonna care. You could be, a pretty shitty person in college or in high school, and you'll still probably get drafted. Yeah, will there be behavioral red flags? Yep. But you'll probably make it. You'll probably get it. If you work hard enough and you're a good enough athlete and you have the genetic size, you could probably you will make the NFL. You will make the NBA. Obviously, it requires a tremendous amount of hard work, but it's not gate kept. There's some level of opportunity there for everybody. The media, there isn't. There isn't. Let me tell you something about the White House real quick. The White House, White House course, how the White House has correspondents, right? Like journalists who basically report all the news and all of this stuff that's going on politically. Guess how many Guess how many journalists are allowed to enter the White House briefing room? 49. 49 regular correspondents at the White House briefing room every day. 49. That's it. That's it. Guess who those journalists are? The first two rows are dominated by CNN, Fox, and MSNBC of the briefing room. Everybody else, no freelancers, no podcasters, no people who have big time fucking platforms. No, of course, but the White House don't give a fuck about them. The White House only cares about CNN, Fox, MSNBC, a couple other, ABC, NBC, a couple other stations, and that's it. We're in the fucking 1920s where there's 40 reporters that are allowed to go to these press conferences and ask questions, and that's it. And I'm not saying these reporters are bad. I'm saying that it's just incredibly gatekept. Why should there only be 40 reporters who should be asking the questions? Why aren't White House press briefings open to more people? I'm not saying open it up to the public. That's stupid. But open it up to like 150, 200, 250. Dude, New York Times reporters are not allowed to get into the White House press briefings. How is that fair? People with big internet followings who are bloggers, who are civilian quote unquote journalists, are not allowed to get into the White House press briefings. Why? I have a hot take here. I think I would love to see Ben Shapiro as a credentialed journalist in the White House. I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, what did he say? Ben Shapiro credentialed? No way. Fuck that. Dude, I would love to see Ben Shapiro credentialed. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I think it would be fantastic. Because here's the thing. You got to have personalities that aren't afraid to rock the boat a little bit. And Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, listen, they're conservative pundits, of course, right? They're talking heads. They're what you don't consider to be journalists, but rather opinionists. But if you give them credentials and you have them ask the president questions, it could provide for very interesting exchanges. And the beauty of journalism is that it isn't about it's about the things that come out of President Biden or President Biden, the president's mouth. It is no longer, or journalism is no fucking whatever. God, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Journalism should not be just gate kept to like 30 people, right? Who asks, like, I've watched some of these press briefings, they're public on C-SPAN. They're pretty softball questions. No one's really asking hardball, you know? And maybe that's due to the fact that the White House doesn't want to rock the boat, and the White House doesn't want to put any of the presidents in bad situations. And the press secretary is kind of there to fiend off reporters and all of these things, right? Why aren't we allowing more reporters into the White House press briefings? I think this is a big deal. This also happens in life. CNN, the New York Times, cable news networks get more access to things than regular journalists do. You know what the best reporting I've seen during this Russian-Ukraine crisis is? It's not Natasha Bertrand from CNN. It's not Don Lemon sitting in the studio in Atlanta. It's not Rachel Maddow. It's not Sean Hannity. It's not any of the talking heads. It's not any of the correspondents who are out there. It's the writers. It's the writers, and it's the people from the radio stations or from the independent publications that flew out on their own to Kiev and have been basically driving Ukraine, documenting what they see firsthand with the beautiful device called the iPhone or whatever phone they have. That is the epitome of journalism, in my opinion. I think citizen journalism can oftentimes be more powerful than any fucking thing that someone says on CNN or BBC. Actually, citizens taking videos. There are videos of the protests in St. Petersburg, of all of the anti-war protests and the arrests and all of these things. There are videos of people who are trapped in hotels in Kiev who are recording what it's like to live in a hotel within Ukraine during the occupation and the invasion. Like, there are people who are of all sorts of different perspectives in all sorts of different situations within the regards to this crisis who are just recording it and putting it up on Instagram. That is journalism. Journalism isn't commenting on what Jen Psaki says about the crisis from the White House. Journalism is actually being within the midst of something. And I think that being a journalist is a definition that I wanted to talk about here real quick. Talking heads, are they real journalists? Or can we really sit here and say that talking heads are real journalists? I don't think so. I don't honestly think that talking heads are real journalists. And I was having this conversation with my parents, and they said, Anuj, Anderson Cooper. I told my parents, I said, I think right now in 2022, I'm probably better than Anderson Cooper. I know. That probably shocked a lot of people. Whoa, what did you say? What? My parents are like, are you kidding me? Show some respect for Anderson. He's done so much more work than your useless ass who sits on the floor. No, okay, I'm joshing a little bit there. But journalists are interesting, right? Because a lot of people consume news through anchors. That's kind of how all of us do, right? And this used to be a really valid way to kind of view journalism for a long time, because there were anchors like Dan Rather and Walter Cronkite who actually did a lot of investigative reporting, did a lot of news, and actually were very neutral in delivering the facts. Uh, they were considered to be like America's messengers in a lot of ways, because they would deliver news in a very appropriate manner to people. That being said, we are now in an era of talking heads. Okay, you see it on ESPN, you see it in sports news, you see it in politics, you see it in every type of news. There are just people who have a little bit of a following, who are entertaining, and who have loud voices and can talk like this and can just speak their mind and say whatever they want, right? And spit whatever opinion they have. And that got me thinking. I was like, were these people actually real journalists? And yes, some of them were in a lot of their lifetime. But I want to focus on one man in particular, Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper, for those of you that don't know, is the host of AC 360, which is quote unquote one of the most highly viewed news programs in the country. Actually, I'm not surprised, because there's a lot of people who think Anderson Cooper is very attractive. He's not a bad looking dude for sure. But That being said, when did the news become about good-looking people? First of all, and second of all, why is Anderson Cooper a real journalist? So I did a little deep digging into his career, and the fact is, Anderson Cooper was a journalist till from about 1991 to about 1997, and then he got an anchor job, and that's it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you one thing and one thing only. Anchors are not real journalists, okay? They read off teleprompters. People in the newsroom do all the research. They write for them. The anchors kind of go into hair and makeup. They look all nice. They look like Anderson Cooper. They say their opinion a couple times a show, and they read off the prompter and talk about all the various things that are going on. That is what an anchor does. Anchors do not report journalism. Anchors are not investigative journalists. Anchors don't do a lot of work. And that's most people who are anchors. I'm talking Chris Cuomo. I'm talking Anderson Cooper. I'm talking Don Lemon. There are so many people like that who are just in that category. I don't think talking heads are real journalists. I don't think you could sit here and would you sit here and tell me Stephen A. Smith is a real sports journalist? I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't be like, huh, no. Would you sit here and tell me that Anderson Cooper right now in 2022 is a real journalist? No, he's not. He's not. He reads fucking headlines. I could do that shit. I could do it. He doesn't. Anderson Cooper doesn't really provide much analysis. Okay, other than when they get the whole election roundtable, when they used to do that and just shit on Donald Trump and Republicans. That's all Anderson Cooper has really done journalistically in the last 5 years that I can see, that I can tell. Don Lemon, on the other hand, delivers highly partisan political rants and also gets drunk on New Year's Eve. There's video footage of that if you'd like to see. It's everywhere. But that being said, I don't think like anchors are real journalists. I'm not trying to say that I don't have respect for them, because I do. And I think like obviously you have to really, work hard to achieve those high levels of prominence. You don't just get to the freaking Don Lemon Tonight levels of not entertainment, of the news immediately. You have to do your work. You have to go through the producer roles and kind of work your way up and all of these things. And I'm not saying that Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper and all of these people didn't put in the work, because they 100% did. But at the same time, they probably haven't done real journalistic work in about 15 years, and that's just the truth. That is very much the truth. If you're Don Lemon and you're Anderson Cooper and you guys go on the freaking New Year's Eve CNN specials every year, I'm sorry, y'all don't really do journalism. That you don't. You know who does real journalism? The people who work for the New York Times. Who does real journalism? The people who are actually like writing stuff and who are actually making content of relevance rather than just reading headlines off a screen and looking good for the camera. It's the truth. No one wanted to hear it, but it's the truth. Journalism is one of the most fucked up industries that there is, and I want to do a whole report episode on it, because I don't really have like a lot of actual valid statistics to back my point. But it's gatekept. It's incredibly hard to access if you're not a part of one of these networks, which is why a lot of people try to get a part of ESPN, or I'm not even saying ESPN. ESPN is journalism for the sports world, but like, why do a lot of people want to work for the big companies? Because you get access. So if you are Anuj Changavi, CBS News investigative reporter, boom, you get more access. You get interviews. People want to listen to you. All of these things. Versus I'm Anuj Changavi from the Changavi Show. People are like, who the fuck is that? Is he a real journalist? No, he's not affiliated with anybody. So I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. That's literally what it is. That independent journalists in this day and age are few and far. I mean, they're few and far between. But I think there's going to be a comeback, especially in the social media era. We're going to start to see some more. We're going to start to see some more people quit. Big brands use their platforms off those to leverage their own reporting and do their own thing. I think freelance journalists are the best types of journalists, in my opinion. They give the most unbiased information. They actually explore stuff that they care about, rather than CNN that just, is literally the Twitter for news. They just go after what's hot. Anyway, that is my opinion. Okay, you don't have to. You can disagree with it. It's definitely off base in some aspects, but that's kind of how I'm feeling in regards to the industry of journalism. It's not real, and there's a lot of problems with it, and we need to make that, you know, we need to prioritize fixing those problems. We talk about the South for a second, man. The South is crazy. It's quite arguably in America the most fucking hated industry on the planet. It truly is. Or not industry. This fucking most hated place in this country by far. By far. There is no other place in the United States of America that is hated as much as the South is. Not the Midwest, not the East Coast, not the West Coast, but the South. The South is hella hated on. And quite frankly, I don't think it should be hated on. I'm not a yeah, I've never been to the South. I never grew up in the South. I have some friends from the South, but it doesn't seem like it's that bad a place, to be honest. People kind of overdo it with the whole hillbilly accent, and I'm not saying that I'm definitely victim to that. I really like to, embellish the Southern accent and talk about sister cousins and all of these things, just like everybody else does, because hating on the South's cool. But I think the South has some stuff to offer. I think hating on the South, obviously, I guess it stems from this whole idea that, like, you know, back in 1865 or back in the 1860s, they were the ones that seceded, and all of that sort of history has laid as an undercurrent of like, ooh, the South. No one likes the South. They're a bunch of white trash down there. When in reality, like, dude, there's a lot of huge metropolitan cities down in the South, and you can't really say that they're all bad. And I find it kind of ironic that people on both the West Coast and the East Coast are pro, are so avidly pro BLM, but where do most of but they shit on the South. But where do most African Americans live in this country? Where do most African Americans live? The South. The South. It's where most African Americans live, bro. I mean, you look at the demographics in this country. Where do most African Americans live? It's not the West Coast. It's not the East Coast. It's not the Midwest. It's the South. It's the South. There's one state that is majority African American. You want to guess what that is? Mississippi. South. It's funny to me. I don't understand. This hatred of the South is very complicated. I know it's deeply rooted in history and all of these things, but it's not like a true hatred. It's like a jokingly like, oh, like the South. Yeah, and most it's not making fun of African Americans really. When you're making fun of the South, you're making fun of a lot of times it's making fun of the white hillbilly trash sort of archetype. But I don't necessarily think. I think it goes a little far sometimes. Uh, I've never been to the South personally, so I can't comment on like what the South is like. But I do have a lot of friends that are, or I do have a few friends that are from the South, and they've kind of talked to me about what it is like. It seems like a cool place, man. I've never really been to Texas. I've never really been to Alabama or Florida. Well, I've been to Florida. I guess you consider, and also like what is considered the South. People just say like, "Oh, I'm from the South," but it's like there's so many parts of the South. But like, when does the South become the Midwest, become the East Coast? Like, it's borders so many places. I think here's what I think the South is. I think the South is like mostly from Texas through the Bible Belt all the way up to like North Carolina is what I would consider the South to be, right? Tennessee, Kentucky, uh, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Texas. Like that's what you consider like states of the South. Obviously, there's a few that I'm missing, but that's sort of what I consider the South when I'm examining it in its geographical territory. But I do think it's hated on. I think there is. I mean, when we think of culture in America, what is really American culture? It's nothing really. The West Coast is like the Twitter for culture. It's just what's trending. That's truly what it is. I can say that from someone who is from the West Coast, who's lived in the West Coast most of his life. That's what it is. The East Coast is just old school financial institutions and pretending like we're Europe, pretending we have like a rich history like we're Europe, when in reality our history only goes back like 400 years. The Midwest is just Uh, Kind of a combination in both the West and the East Coast to an extent, but it's got its own little like Farmer John feel to it. And then the South is really where a lot of culture comes from. Look at where rap comes from. Look at where rap comes from these days. Yeah, there's a little bit of New York influence, a little bit of Brooklyn, all that's, or not Brooklyn, but a little bit of New York influence. Where does the majority of rap music come from? Atlanta. Where does the majority? What do you consider to be like American food? Soul food, chicken and waffles, like all of these things. South, South. The South has a tremendous impact on American culture, whether you like it or not. So the people who are like hella hating on it, I find it so funny. There's the same fucking LA white girls that are probably like, "Oh, hillbilly white girls," blah 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 blah, like making fun of all the hillbillies, but they're like, actually, I'll have like 4 chicken and waffles and mimosas, please. It's like, dude, I just think it's funny. I think it's funny that we hate on the South so much, but in reality, they like contribute hella to our culture, and they actually are like a big part of America, and we don't realize it. No, fuck, dude, my kid. I'm sorry if you're on YouTube. I really do apologize. I'm really trying to figure out this like sitting on the floor setup. Like it's much more complicated than it looks. I say this fucking word way too much, bro. I've noticed this on every episode. I literally go like blah 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 blah. I'm like, who knows? No one fucking knows, dude. Why do you say this so much, bro? I'm talking to myself at this point. Why do I say so much? There should be like a little counter on the side of this fucking podcast. The amount of times I say it bothers me. I don't know. Has anybody else noticed how many times I say during like a course of like a thing? I said so many times during a particular segment of the podcast that I was editing for a TikTok clip, to the point where I just started cutting the out because it sounded so fucking bad to me. It's literal ear cancer. I've said it like 18 times probably during the course of this after show. It's been going for 52 minutes. Like I'm pretty sure I've said it 57 times. I don't know what it is. I don't know where I get it from. I don't know why I say It's so weird. It is so fucking strange. I have no idea. This is Do you guys have weird words that you say a lot during the course of conversation? I don't know if this is just like a me thing or this is everybody else who you I was about to say it again. Who like has conversations. Do you have words that you like to add at the end of sentences or really use a lot? Because I feel like has been the fucking crutch of mine through this whole podcast. I'm starting to like consciously think about it now and like use it less because I think it doesn't add for like a clean effect. I think it comes off as very weird and I think it comes off as repetitive and I don't like that. Uh I want there to be more clear, crisp sentences with some actual substantive content rather than just me saying, blah 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 blah. Bro, can't do it anymore, man. I can't do it. Listen, I got one more topic to talk about, and then we can dip on out of here. I know I kind of wasted your time a little bit. 20 minutes on mental health. That wasn't a waste of time in my opinion, but I'm sure for some of you, we didn't really give a shit. But Inventing Anna. This has been a really polarizing show on Netflix. I've noticed this the last couple of weeks or so. Inventing Anna has been very interesting. I thought it was actually really popular for a second because I was looking at it on trending and people were, watching. There you go, I said it again. People are watching Inventing Anna to a large extreme. A lot of people are watching it. It's, should I just quit the podcast, man? I say this fucking word way too often. God. Okay, Inventing Anna. It's a 9-episode miniseries. It's on Netflix for those of you that don't know. It's basically about the scam artist who is scamming in the middle of New York City, using the rich to her advantage and all of these things. A lot of people are saying the show is terrible. I don't understand why people think the show is so bad. I think it's a really good show, actually. I was really into it for the most part. It's the one thing that I tend to not agree with the masses on. I do agree with the masses on a lot of things. I don't agree with that. A lot of people are saying that the show is not good. I thought it was really fucking good. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I I thought that the I think people are annoyed by the accent. I can definitely see it being annoying because like Anna Delvey is supposed to be like this Russian heiress who's from Germany and all these things. So she's kind of got a little whack accent a little bit, but she is, but the whole show itself and the concept of it is really cool. Like I enjoy but I also am like a sucker for journalism stories. I love when they bring in the journalist and they're like, we have to cover the secrets of the story because it's so integral to the importance of everything and blah 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 blah. And I love that. I love that shit. So I really like the show. Like I finished it. It's a good show in my opinion. Um, I never really saw the argument to not like it. I mean, I'm not the type of person to be like, this show is the best show on TV. I mean, I think Euphoria is the number one show on TV. I don't think Inventing Anna even comes close to anything like top 10, top 15. I think it's a good show. I think it's a good miniseries. I don't think it's terrible. People are saying it's terrible. I don't think it's bad. Is Inventing Anna really that bad? What do people hate about it? I don't understand. I I went through it and I was thinking about it. I racked my head because I was really hearing a lot of negativity from the show, and I'm thinking about it in my head, and I'm like, what did I really dislike about the show? And there wasn't anything I disliked. It was just decent. It was a good watch. It was a good watch. It's probably a show that I'll definitely forget about in about 2 weeks. And I think most of the world will forget about it in about 2 weeks when it doesn't, when the virality and the pop culture effect of it all kind of withers away. But it's not really a bad show. I thought it was pretty okay. It's a pretty okay show. It's an okay show. I feel like it is fair to say Inventing Anna right now is an okay show, and there's nothing more than that. I don't understand where this terrible narrative is coming from. You know what a terrible show is? Too Hot to Handle. That's a terrible show. But a lot of viewers are like, "Oh, Too Hot to Handle is like a really unique way to look at a dating." No, it's not. No, it's not. Too Hot to Handle is a trash show. Okay? The Circle on Netflix, fucking garbage. All of these shows, trash, dude. The There are a lot of trash shows. I know I listen to reality shows. I'm actually like a big reality show king. I like Survivor and The Amazing Race. Those are the two classics that I enjoy personally. But there are a lot of trash shows. You want me to give you trashy shows? I can give you fucking absolute garbaggio shows. You know what show's bad? Manifest. The first season's really good, and then the second season, ass. And it just gets ass and more assier from there. And it gets weirdly Christian and religious, and it's strange. There are a lot of trash shows. Inventing Anna is now one of the trash shows on the internet on Netflix right now. Inventing Anna is not trash in my opinion, and that is the take. That is all I have for the after show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and other people. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate every single one of you for making it through this kind of 58-minute rant about various things that are uneducated and should not be cited in research papers. But honestly, though, I do appreciate it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, hit the follow button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave a review. Anywhere you are, if you guys liked it, feel free to share with everybody. I know, whatever. But personally, I'm very tired. It is 12 in the morning. I'm about to go to sleep. But thank you guys so much for hanging with me. This was fun. Appreciate it. And this is Anuj signing off from his parents' house in the Bay Area, episode 11 of the After Show in the books. And don't forget to share with all your friends and all the people that are going to like this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you, and take care.